Welcome to the deep dive. You're here because, well, you want to understand what really drives achievement, what gets things done. Today, we're cutting through some of the noise around, self-help and asking, well, what's the real engine? Is it that flash of motivation, or is it steady, reliable discipline?
And we're looking closely at an article that tackles this head-on. It's by Brent Zeman, titled The Unyielding Pursuit of Action: Why Discipline Outshines Motivation. Our mission today is basically to pull out the core ideas from Zeman's perspective on why discipline, ultimately, is what gets you across the finish line.
Exactly. So forget just the rah-rah stuff. We're diving into the real difference between, a feeling that fades and a commitment that sticks. We'll look at how just doing something can quiet fear, this idea of building mental muscle, why just showing up consistently is maybe more powerful than we think, and also tackling excuses, why they pop up, what they cost us, and that big choice, right? The pain of effort versus the pain of, well, looking back with regret.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. Ready? Okay, let's get into it. Zeman starts by really separating motivation and discipline.
Yeah, he draws a very sharp line. Motivation, we all know it.
Yeah.
That sudden buzz, that excitement to start something.
Yeah. Like, this is it. I'm finally going to learn guitar. Or start that business. You feel unstoppable for about a day.
Right. And then maybe life happens, or just fizzles. That initial energy fades.
Totally. It's like trying to run a car on, enthusiasm alone. It runs out.
And that's exactly Zeman's point about where discipline steps in. He defines it as an unwavering commitment to act irrespective of our feelings. The danger isn't motivation itself, it's relying on it. Because feelings, they're shifting sands. Discipline puts you, not your mood, in the driver's seat.
So his definitions are really concise. Motivation is a fleeting feeling. Discipline is a steadfast commitment. It's deciding what needs doing and, well, doing it, whether you're feeling it or not.
Yeah, the analogy works well. Motivation's the spark, maybe gets the fire going. But discipline, it's the logs, the fuel that keeps it burning steady day in, day out, even when it's raining.
Okay, got it. Discipline is the workhorse. Now, Zeman also talks a lot about daily action. What's the key message there?
Well, it's this focus on the power of today. He sees every single day as this fresh canvas, a chance to move forward right now. And he says the real winners are, and I'm quoting here, those who dare to move forward, even when their legs tremble, when the applause is absent, and when the circumstances seem less than favorable.
Wow. So it's not about waiting for perfect conditions or for someone to cheer you on. It's about just moving today. Even a little bit.
Exactly. We often wait for that right moment, don't we?
Yeah.
But Zeman suggests consistent action actually creates momentum. It builds its own kind of right moment.
And those small daily steps add up. It's not always about massive leaps.
Not at all. It's the consistent chipping away. That's what shapes the big results down the line.
Okay, let's pivot slightly. Fear. We all deal with it. It can completely paralyze you from taking action. How does Zeman suggest we handle that?
Yeah, this is a really critical point he makes about fear and, well, what we do about it. He puts it very directly. Fear diminishes in the face of action.
So inaction makes it worse.
That's the idea. When we hesitate, stand still, procrastinate, our worries, our doubts, they just seem to get bigger, louder in our heads.
It's like putting off that difficult phone call. The dread builds up, often way worse than the call itself.
Precisely. But taking a step, any step, even a tiny one, it breaks that cycle. It interrupts the fear loop. Each action chips away at the fear's power and builds a little momentum in the other direction. Zeman's phrases are potent. Fear thrives on inaction. And the flip side, action diminishes fear.
The antidote is movement, okay? Now, connected to this is the idea of building mental muscle through this consistent effort. Can you unpack that a bit more?
Sure. Think about physical exercise, right? Lifting weights builds physical muscle because you're working against resistance. Zeman applies the same logic mentally. Pushing through resistance like procrastination or that feeling of I don't want to, or fear itself that actually strengthens your mental capacity to stick with things, your discipline muscle.
So every time you follow through when you don't feel like it.
Exactly. Every time you honor a commitment you make to yourself, Zeman says you reinforce your identity as someone who is disciplined. It builds this deep self-belief, not based on just hoping you can do it, but on the evidence that you do. A fortress built not on wishful thinking, but on resolute action, as he puts it.
That makes a lot of sense. It's proving it to yourself over and over. That builds genuine confidence. Okay, consistency keeps coming up. Zeman seems to really champion it over, say, intensity.
He absolutely does. He states pretty clearly, in the pursuit of success, consistency reigns supreme. It's less about these huge heroic efforts once in a while.
Right, like pulling an all-nighter to finish a project.
Yeah, and more about the regularity of our actions. Showing up consistently, even in small ways, has a more profound long-term impact.
The tortoise and the hare, basically. Slow and steady wins the race.
That's a good way to put it. Zeman talks about champions being forged through the daily grind of effort, not just appearing in one flash of brilliance. And there's a deeper layer, too. Consistent actions become habits. And habits, over time, really shape who we fundamentally become. Our identity follows our actions.
Our habits define us. Okay, now, something very human. Excuses. We all make them. How does Zeman suggest we deal with that tendency?
He doesn't pull any punches here. He basically calls excuses convenient lies that hinder our potential.
Ouch. Convenient lies.
Yeah. He gets that they often sound logical, perfectly reasonable justifications for why we didn't do something. But he argues their real function is usually to protect us, to shield us from the discomfort or effort that growth requires.
There are mental escape routes keeping us comfortable but stuck. So how do we break free? What's his strategy?
It's a two-step process, essentially. First, recognize the lie. You have to see the excuse for what it is, a story you're telling yourself, not necessarily objective reality.
So step one is awareness, seeing the narrative.
Exactly. And step two is crucial. Take responsibility. This means shifting your focus, moving away from blaming external factors or listing reasons you can't, and instead embracing accountability, focusing on what you can control, what you can do, however small.
It's about owning your choices, owning the narrative, which leads us to another really powerful point Zeman makes, this idea of inevitable pain, and choosing between the pain of discipline and the pain of regret.
Yes, this is a stark choice he lays out. His argument is that some form of discomfort in life is pretty much unavoidable. You can't escape it entirely. Discipline involves one kind of discomfort, the effort, the sacrifice, pushing beyond what feels easy. He calls it a temporary discomfort. The early mornings, saying no to distractions, the mental effort.
Right. The upfront cost for a future benefit.
Precisely. Regret, though, that's a different beast. He describes it as a lingering ache that endures long after opportunities have passed. It's that constant what-if feeling, the deep disappointment of knowing you didn't try, didn't live up to your potential.
A much heavier, longer-lasting pain.
That's the contrast Zeman draws. Discipline, short-term discomfort, long-term gain. Regret, long-lasting pain from potential left on the table.
And when you frame it like that, well, the choice seems clear, even if discipline is hard in the moment. Okay, finally, Zeman talks about developing a relentless mindset. What does that look like?
Well, what's interesting is he argues that success isn't just about talent or smarts. He says ultimately it belongs to those who are relentless. And he defines that relentlessness through two main qualities. First, persistence. Just refusing to quit, especially when things get tough, sticking with it through setbacks.
Not giving up easily.
Right. And second, responsibility. Taking full ownership. Owning your actions, your choices, and the outcomes, the good and the bad. No blaming, no finger pointing.
So the relentless person doesn't get thrown off course by failure. They learn from it, adjust, and keep going, and they own their part in it.
That's the core idea. And critically, Zeman notes that these relentless individuals, they do not wait for ideal conditions. They forge their own opportunities through consistent action.
They don't wait for the perfect wave. They start paddling.
Exactly. They know perfect rarely happens,
Yeah.
so they make their own way. They create momentum through doing, day after day.
So wrapping this up, the big takeaway from Zeman seems crystal clear. Motivation is nice when it shows up, but it's discipline, that conscious, consistent commitment to act, that's the real driver of achievement.
Absolutely. His fundamental message, his call to action really is, stop waiting around for motivation to strike like lightning. Instead, deliberately cultivate discipline. Build that fire through steady, purposeful action, starting now.
Because every choice, every action or inaction today, as Zeman emphasizes, is literally building the future you're going to live in and shaping the person you're becoming.
Which leaves us with a thought for you, the listener. Think about one single small action you could commit to doing today. Just one thing that aligns with a goal or aspiration you have for the future. Now imagine sticking with just that one small thing, consistently, day after day. What could the cumulative impact of that single steady act be over the next year? Something to consider.